Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Jared Flowers, Vice President of National Restaurant Consultants, coming to you with the NRC Helpful Moment number 159. We are joined today, as always, with Brian Devine, owner of Top Line Management, as well as James Beatty, owner and operator of Zell's Mountain Creperie in Denver, Colorado. I just wanted to take a minute to thank James for being a part of our client team. James reached out to us with a concept quite some time ago, and just really we hit it off. And Jim had a concept that we thought really had an opportunity to be super successful in the Denver market, and wanted to give James an opportunity today to tell us a little bit about Zell's and how the journey has been from our introduction into supply chain issues to leasing issues and to all of the fun parts of becoming a restaurateur, and now finally getting to see the end of the tunnel a little bit.
All right. So, I'll try to keep this brief, but, I spent a lot of time living in, Russia and Europe. And during that time, I noticed the whole concept of how they do crepes, and it's a little bit different than how a lot of crepes have been done in the U.S. And I think the big difference is the U.S., you normally find them at like either, ski resorts or kind of sit down coffee/restaurants where they're kind of at the high end of the price, and they tend to be slow. And in Russia, they have a very similar thing. It's called the blini. I know Russia's not popular right now, but that's just like a crepe. However, it's very fast. And if you go to France, also they make the crepes there very quickly, and they're also not on the high end of the I'd say cost spectrum. They're more on the middle of the road and inexpensive. So I wanted to kind of take that idea of quick, reasonably priced, available, and turn it into, and release that on the U.S. market. And so that's I've been thinking about this project for many years. And, once I got together with NRC, I'd say things started moving very fast, even though, we did have some hiccups, just like it's just as a first restaurant and with a relatively small scale in terms of leasable square feet, landlords were pretty slow to react, surprisingly. So we did take a long time to get our first lease signed, and that was kind of surprising to me, coming from the real estate area, expecting quick turnarounds when, landlords have empty space. So it took longer to get the lease signed, but I think since then we're rocking and rolling, and I think NRC has been great at pushing the process along and getting ahead of the game.
Very nice.
Thanks, Jim. And also, one of the things that he didn't mention is, Zell's is also going to, we've worked on developing some really unique panini sandwiches.
Mm-hmm.
The idea as we continue to grow with Jim is we're going in predominantly next to larger high schools. That seems to be our larger demographic. But doing the crepes really well and really fast, like James just spoke about, but also having a really good panini and some fresh lemonades, and given an environment that we believe that we have created. Yeah. James did a really good job creating a brand and a mission statement, and really where we want to take this thing to grow into a multi-unit concept.
Yeah, and then also just a quick thing is that a lot of people may not realize that crepes can be very nutritious, and our crepes are made from scratch. And, it's just because it's, a crepe, it can be fast, made from scratch, and nutritious. And that's kind of what we're going to be delivering.
Awesome. And so with that said, Brian, I want to turn this over to you and see how do we tell operators like James how to get that message out to people when you're starting your first restaurant.
Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks, James. What kind of came to me at first is so we kind of named this building a restaurant brand, and brand has come up in the conversation. And what I'm finding, especially these days, where the more transparent you can be about how you even go about building the brand and getting that out even way before you're even ready to have people sit down and eat your food, is extremely powerful, because it does a couple things. One, it lets people in, right? So they start to feel like they're a part of what you're creating, your brand. And then two, it gets that excitement about what's coming, so that when you are ready to kind of put out your big, hopefully your launch campaign, right? From, you're 6 weeks out to, what you're going to do and how you're going to be building your list and how you're going to get people there. And then what you're going to do when they are there, so that you can make sure that you get them back. That whole process gets a lot easier, because you've been doing basically all this other stuff to kind of lift everything along the way. So as you're going through that, even if you just jot down a note, right? Like, okay, this process, here's what we had to do in order to make this work. Putting that out, even if you're like, yeah, we're nowhere near ready, but putting that out on social media and letting people within a radius of where you're going to be know, it can be extremely powerful. Putting out a video camera every once in a while, and then talking through, like, here's our location, here's our space, and here's what we're thinking, here's what we're going to do. We'd love to get feedback, even if you don't need their feedback or want their feedback or ever even look at it. The point is to have that community engagement, to have that involvement. That in itself will help build and create your brand, and it'll probably help direct you a little bit, because you might get some feedback and go, oh, you know what, that's a great idea, we're going to do that. So I just kind of wanted to throw that in there to make sure that we really talk about some of the opportunity that you have when you're just getting these things started. It might seem like maybe I'll get to it, but it is so valuable to do now and early, and it doesn't cost you anything but a little bit of time. So I highly recommend that if you're in that same position as James, then start doing that stuff now and putting it out there even before you're ready, because it can have a huge impact when you are.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Brian. And James, thanks so much for joining us, being a strategic partner with us. Both of you guys, we couldn't do this without you. So that said, 159 is a wrap.
All right.
All right. Thanks, guys. Yep.
Bye for now, everybody.